they're hopeful. They're all talking about, we do this for the children. They want to make the lives better for their children, and just the faith that they have, the hope that they have, is just, it amazes us. And the whole idea that there is no social safety net like we have here, and the church being that, and how much more the church needs to be, just really opened my eyes to a lot of how things are, how things actually happen in other parts of the world.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Trinity Talks. My name is Kyla, and this week, as you can see, I have a full room of folks who are recently back from Honduras, where they went on a trip with Trinity, but also with our partnership with World Vision. And so I'm really excited to hear more about what that trip was like for each of these folks, and how God has been working there and in each of our lives here as well. So let's start with some introductions. Maybe you can give me your name and what made you interested in being part of this trip. Okay, we'll start over here.
Sure. Good afternoon. My name is Heather, and what led me to want to go on the trip is I've heard about the work of World Vision for many, many years, and I've always been impressed with what I've heard, but an opportunity to go and see firsthand what they were doing was what led me to decide to participate.
Okay, cool.
My name is Petra, and I wanted to go on the trip to meet my sponsored child and to just experience what it's like in the countries that aren't as wealthy as Canada.
Okay, cool. And here.
Yes. I mean, I was brought on to capture the trip, so I went 2 years ago, and it was kind of a continuation of that, being able to kind of film everything that was going on. So yeah, it was also just, I like being there. It's a meaningful trip, yeah.
And what is your name?
My name is Alex, for those at home.
All right, and at the end here.
My name's Adrian, and when I got the email about it, it sounded interesting, so I chatted with Rob a bit, and he mentioned that women's empowerment was going to be kind of a focus of the trip, which is a real passion of mine, so I kind of got on board then.
Okay, cool. So you spent about a week-ish in Honduras with some, travel time on Monday and Friday. So in general, what did that week look like? What were some of the things that you were doing? Do you want to start, Adrian?
Well, we visited several schools. We got to see the kids, what World Vision's doing at schools. We also went to a farm. We went into a community and got to see a couple of different ways that people live in those communities. What else?
So a lot of traveling. So it was a good distance from the hotels where we stayed. Up into the mountains where the villages were on very rough roads.
Sure.
And our drivers did a great job taking care of us, but it was a lot of rough and rocky. They told us that was a Honduran massage being bounced around in the vehicles.
We we also went to like a daycare center or child care center, and they showed us they painted with coffee, and they made us paintings, and they showed us around.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you talked about, going to some of these farms, going to some of these schools and places to see what World Vision is doing. So what was it that you saw? What are they doing in the schools and farms and different places? Yeah.
No one wants to talk first.
So a lot of what they're doing is child education, but they have a holistic approach to education. So a lot of what we saw were a unit they had done around personal hygiene. So around how to wash their hands and how to know what was safe food and how to know what was safe water. And the curriculum that they had used to teach the kids that. And the day we were there, the kids got their certificates, having learned about 8 different aspects of personal hygiene.
Okay, cool. And you mentioned, women's empowerment being part of the trip. So what did that sort of look like?
I didn't go to the farm visit. You guys did. But one of the things we did was the female farm cooperative. So it was 11 women, 1 man to make 12. And World Vision does a lot of I don't know if I'd call it agricultural coaching, maybe, for lack of a better term.
Great term.
But they have a lot of experts that were helping people maximize their crops, figuring out markets, things like that. So, and even in the community, the lady that we visited, I can't remember her name.
Gracie.
Yes, Gracie. So she talked about the leadership training that she also gets from World Vision. So apart from we saw lovely new bathrooms that had been built at 2 of the schools with running water sinks, flush toilets. And then we also saw a computer lab that World Vision had built. So aside from those tangible things, the ongoing coaching was something that I certainly wasn't aware that World Vision did. That was really awesome to see and see people take advantage of that.
And not just coaching too, but I think a big portion of that as well was changing their minds too, I guess, right?
Yes.
It was the Empower worldview, I believe that's what it was, and their Thrive program as well.
Yes.
So the thing where they had to actually change the mindset that a lot of these people were in to be able to have those trainings really stick. If they teach them how to do things, or they teach them how to grow certain products and stuff, that has to actually be backed by some inspiration, so that they feel motivated, they know they can do this, they're really pushing for it. And so that was a big aspect of the trip too, is seeing how in each of the areas that we were around, how that was taking effect, which looked a little bit differently where it was, if it was in the farming communities or schools and whatnot too. Is having that, it's a big aspect of it.
Yeah. And so, Petra, did you go visit the farm? Is that what I heard? Yeah. Okay. So what was that like?
It was very cool. There were mostly women. There was one guy. Yeah, they had this whole I forget, it was the system so that it would get watered properly. It was layered. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, they looked very educated about their farming and stuff. It was good to see.
Yeah. Cool.
As a central hub to teach a variety of farmers as well too, instead of being able to go to different areas too and teach them how to do it, being able to have a central spot where they can just fund that one area too, with an irrigation system and all of that is a little bit more manageable too. And then once they learn those skills as well, then they can go out and practice that elsewhere as well, if I remember.
And there was also a financial piece that they trained them on. What was that one called?
So what they had is they were teaching them, so the money that they earned, they had almost like a financial cooperative. So they could then provide loans to other farmers.
Like a savings and loan.
A savings and loan kind of thing. So talking about a passive income. So the fact that they had this money and the money could make money for them. So rather than just the planting and the growing of the crops, that aspect of it as well. And I think to all of us, just the fact of teaching them those kinds of skills, that money management, that passive income, as well as all of the farming skills, and just listening to the ladies talk about when they were determining what kind of crop they were going to grow. And they realized that, so these peppers that they were growing they're very hot peppers. And so they talked about growing these peppers, but they knew they were going to have, they called it hot hands, because I guess just even picking the peppers. And so they were reluctant to do that, but then they went out into the market and they talked to where they could sell the peppers, and they determined that they could get a better price for the peppers, that they were it was less of a drive to get them to market, and just the decision-making process that they went through to determine, and in the end the lady's saying, so we decided we're having hot hands this year because that was the crop, but just that they had gone through that process. The women of the cooperative had gone through that process of determining that, and the fact that they had been trained to do that. And they were out there marketing and selling their crops in the market. And I thought, wow, that's what a skill that they've taught these women, that they can then go on and next year determine what crop it will be, and again go out to the market.
And before that, they were but they were housewives.
They were yes,
The whole mindset thing that Alex talked about was getting out of the house, now starting a business with women they're friends with, maybe some not. They talked about relationships a lot and having good relationships. So that was really neat.
Yeah.
And not only the mindset thing, but biblical worldview specifically is what World Vision was coming in and teaching them too. If they're loved and appreciated and all that too. There's a whole aspect of that as well, with bringing up children in that way too. But even just on a business front as well, having that as the background was another big focus too.
Yeah, that's so cool. There's sort of two things that I'm hearing. One is that this is a really sort of holistic program, right? That it's not just giving schooling or giving hygiene or giving seeds for farming. It's all of those things. And how do we wrap that in mindset training, in the ability for people to like keep doing things?
The end goal, like World Vision is in there for a specific period of time.
Yeah.
That the end of that period of time, the idea is that the people they have trained will be able to carry on without them.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're here to provide for you forever, or we're going to teach you. It's the concept of teach a man to fish.
Yeah.
Is very much a part of. So they have an exit strategy.
Yeah.
And they're working towards that.
And a lot of it is just volunteer run as well too, and like people being motivated just like out of the potential of good for everybody in their community as well too. So they'll have like some key people that'll be volunteering, and we'll get all these trainings too, and then they can train other people, and it kind of spreads out that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that sustainability piece was sort of the other part that really stands out to me. You know, I previously worked in international nonprofits, and like I always thought of it as like the end goal is working myself out of a job, right? At least in that specific location. There's always going to be more places that have need, but like the end goal is always how do we provide what's needed so that the people can provide for themselves, right? Yeah, and that's so cool. That's what's happening. So it was a very full week. Lots happening. Is there one favorite memory or one sort of favorite moment that stands out to you? Alex?
Wow.
Machete Man. Was it Machete
So
Man?
the one story that I got out of it. Yeah, for those of y'all who are listening in the service, you might have heard a little bit about this, but yeah, there was a bit of a memorable moment that happened. So I was capturing all the video stuff for it, and so as a part of that, I was able to bring a drone this time, which was nice. I'll be able to get a few shots here and there. And one of the shots that I wanted to get, because we were traveling in a convoy of like 3 or 4 or whatever vehicles, like all off-road trucks and whatnot, because the roads were kind of crazy. But I wanted to get a shot of seeing that in the landscape, because I was just filming from inside the car all the time. And so we were coming back from Jorge's coffee farm, so we were pretty high elevation, and I was like, last day too, I was like hoping I can get something. So I was like, cool, I want to get a shot of the trucks going down, I can just like fly up. And so that's what we were doing, and I was flying outside of the window of the truck, and it was going good, you know. Let's get some shots, and yeah, the drone's going around, and then I get a warning on the screen, which I don't even know if it's a warning, but it was like a notification being like extended flight time recognized. I'm like, okay, I don't care, like whatever. And then I keep going, and then the drone, like, so I'm following the trucks, and then the drone just kind of like stops like going any further. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then on the bottom of the screen, like see like the distance, it's like 800 meters, and then it's red. So, and it's like, okay, what? It won't go anywhere. So what was happening is it wouldn't go any farther that way. I could only backtrack. So I was like, okay, well, this is the whole thing. So I had to tell the trucks to slow down. And then I tried to see, okay, maybe I run down, I get a little bit closer, like the 800 meters will go down.
Right.
Didn't happen. And so basically I was standing like on the road, and I could try to like look for the drone. I like made it go up a little bit. I could see it. It was like 30 feet like off the road, and it wouldn't go farther. It was like literally I could see it. It was
in the air.
hovering above a tree, and I was like looking around to see if anywhere else I could drop it down. There's like a little path there. I didn't know if it was like even harder to access if I was to put it down there. And I had recovered drones before if they'd like fallen into a tree, and it's not the end of the world. I was like, well, all right, battery starts going down, like 2 minutes and whatever left. And then it inevitably starts like lowering itself. So I basically just had to watch this from the road, like 20 feet away, just like thing happening. And I knew in my mind, I was like, okay, well, it's going to become a whole thing now. It's like, well, now it's going to be like a 20-minute whatever like thing, like looking for this thing. And yeah, so I was like, all right, goes down. I have to go down the dry. So there's a little dry riverbank there.
Yeah.
I had to go under a barbed wire fence, and then across the riverbank, up the like hill into the like forest or whatever. And I'm trying to do this because there's like another like 2 or 3 minutes left of the battery. Otherwise, like the GPS signal gets lost, and I can't really find it again.
Right.
And so I have to go like really quick. So I'm going around. The GPS only updates every 30 seconds as well.
Okay.
So, okay, I go too far and update. Okay, too far again. So I knew it's in this like area. I was like pretty close. And then I looked across, I'm like scanning across the ground, and I see like a pair of boots standing, and I'm like, oh gosh, I don't want anything bad to happen here. So I immediately run back and then go back over to like the road, and the others are coming to meet me, and I'm like, yeah, well, so the drone's over there, but there's like somebody over there. I didn't even see who it was. I just saw the boots, and I'm like, I'm out of here. And they're like, oh no, it's fine. Okay, so then our translator or one of the drivers, World Vision guy, Tony, love Tony, shout out Tony. Rob goes under, so I hold the barbed wire fence. Everybody goes down. We go in. They start talking to this guy. I think his name's David. He's a coffee farmer there. He's nice. He's super nice. He has a machete, of course, as you do. I didn't even notice the machete too when I was in there. That would have been even scarier if I saw that. And so I was talking to him. He's like, "Oh yeah, I heard this like buzzing." In Spanish, of course, it's great to have people that speak the native language. First of all, also I think it sucked having a language barrier. I think we all felt that too. I was like, man, I wish we knew the language more. But we did have a translator there. Yeah. Anyway, so we were like all looking for it. I was like, I told him like, we can leave it. It's fine. Like I was expecting to possibly lose the drone. I swapped the SD card out ahead of time just in case I lost it. Didn't expect it to happen like that. But anyway, so he whistled over. He had found it, and yeah, we got it back. I got a picture of it as well, which is really funny. But yeah, I was surprised we were all kind of looking for it for that long. There's a massive hornet nest as well too.
We were standing on the road and watching them in the jungle and foraging around and just looking at this massive hornet's nest, just right above where they were.
I can't imagine what would have happened if the drone had crashed
into the hornet's nest.
Yeah, but it was funny too, and it was like such a like dumb thing. We're like praying like, it'd be really cool to like get it back. It might be nice. And then, but it's funny because like you wouldn't expect someone just to be like in the forest, like right there. Like I had no idea like that somebody's right there. So it was convenient that we got that little win gifted to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Adrian, what about you? Favorite memory?
So I work with a charity called Days for Girls, and we make menstrual hygiene kits that last like 2 to 4 years. And so I had mentioned it early on, then I was told a week before it was arranged, so I was good to go. So I had never done a distribution before. I have never worked with a translator before. I've never been to a country like Honduras before. So I was like,
a lot of newness.
What a great idea. So Tony is awesome. He did it with me, the presentation. So we had a classroom about 25 grade 6 girls. So through him, did the presentation. It was awesome to see how much they knew. A lot of places that we go to, they know nothing, but these girls were very well informed. I gave them the kits, we chatted. Tony was an excellent sport about it. And then I was able to leave 25 kits behind that they're going to give out to the high school students. Okay. So I also left a Spanish flip chart for them. And then Days for Girls already has a partnership with World Vision. So hopefully going forward, we can keep doing that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Petra, what about you? Favorite memory?
It was playing soccer with the kids at the Children's Center. It was just like, even though I couldn't really understand them, we could still play soccer together, and we understand that.
Yeah.
So, nice to connect with them even without speaking Spanish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like play is like a universal kind of language, right? Yeah. What about for you?
I think for me it was the children's party that we did, and just seeing all of the children. Well, everywhere we went, the children were so happy. They were so engaged. They were so excited to see us. But at the children's party, that we got to meet our sponsored children, but also we got to meet, all of the children there were children that were sponsored by Trinity.
Right.
So those of us who were there, we met our individual sponsored children. But then there was a group of families, children sitting off to the side, obviously waiting for us. And these were kids whose sponsors hadn't come on the trip, but they had gifts to send back. So they gave us gifts to bring back to the families that were sponsoring them. So
lovely.
it was lovely. It really was. And just, we look at these kids and the poverty that they live in, and yet they want to give back to us. And that just, they're wanting to give to us was so genuine and so encouraging.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm wondering how this experience has sort of shaped your faith. If there are things that you learned about God through this experience, or that God has shown you, what are some of those interactions like? Adrian, do you want to start?
Oh, great. For me, it was more encouraging, I think, of my faith and seeing the people there and just how faithful they were and how reliant on God they were and how hopeful they were. So, I mean, we're fairly privileged here relatively, and I was like, wow, I am not grateful enough. I am not hopeful enough. So yeah, for me, it was a real encouraging piece.
Sure. Yeah. What about for you, Alex?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I think the first time I went a couple of years ago, then I especially noticed a lot of differences too. Because the first time I was going to a country that was different than Canada, I think, or like much different. And so, yeah, I think the privilege thing has been a really big thing as well, where we don't even really clock how we live our life on a day-to-day basis and how much and I mean, Honduras is very Christian country as well, which is great too. So not as much persecution, I guess, I suppose, but there's not really any stakes for us right now in Canada as well. And we have such a good life, and seeing these people and seeing how much they rely on their faith and God is to just survive. And even the role of the church in Honduras as well is a lot different too. They have to take the role of doing a lot of the good in the communities as opposed to how the countries is set up too. So they're going in and teaching kids how to prevent violence in their communities, or the whole thing of just making sure everybody grows up well. It's that's a role that the church is taking on too. There's so much more that they have to do, or that they are taking on, than that what we have to do here is come on a Sunday, right? And so it's really obvious how motivated they are to benefit the good of their community, and just relying on God's guidance for that, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And in Canada, for better or for worse, we have a lot of government services and a lot of nonprofit agencies that do some of that work and do it really well most of the time, right? So as a local church, we don't necessarily feel that same pressure, like you were saying. Yeah. But when those services are lacking, the church really becomes a community center just as much as a place of worship, right? So that's really cool to see the church being the church, being a community and a place that is really helping people. What about for you, Petra? How's this sort of shaped your faith?
It definitely has encouraged my faith, just to see how I think God still blesses those people, but just not in material ways. Even when I see them living their poverty, they're still joyful, they're still faithful. And so it just shows me that, living in poverty is horrible, but they're still faithful, and they're still blessed by God, and they're still just, I don't know. Yeah,
no, for sure. There's that real sense that God, sometimes people will say, that God blesses us through material wealth, right? And your experience is showing you that that's not true, right? God blesses all people regardless of their material circumstances. Yeah.
I think for me as well, the whole gratitude piece, the fact that here are these people living in what we would consider abject poverty, and yet they're hopeful. They're all talking about, we do this for the children. They want to make the lives better for their children, and just the faith that they have, the hope that they have, is just, it amazes us. And the whole idea that there is no social safety net like we have here, and the church being that. And how much more the church needs to be, just really opened my eyes to a lot of how things are, how things actually happen in other parts of the world.
Sure. Yeah. And so cool to see. Yeah. Again, the church's role in that, and how really, if I think back, even to scripture in Acts, it talked about there was no need among them because they provided for each other's needs, and they cared for the widows and all of these things, right? And that's what the church should be, I think, right?
Is, yeah.
Yeah. So cool that you get to actually see that in action. Is there anything else, if folks are thinking about this sort of experience, or they're, they say, okay, what's one thing that you want everybody to sort of know or remember about Honduras, or about this partnership with World Vision? What's one final thing that we might want to leave folks with? Do you have anything to add there, Alex?
Yeah, I guess one thing too, like it was obvious to see how like, here too, you don't really see the effects necessarily of the support that you give for countries like that. But it's like if you go on a trip like this and you actually see even like this, World Vision taking us around to places that they're involved in and interventions that they're taking on, you can actually like see how that money is being used like in the physical space instead of just being like, oh yeah, I can sponsor a child or whatever. Like seeing that that's very real. Like there's people on the end of that as well, and that they and even kids that have sponsors too. Like they like not necessarily like want a connection, but like they're like you're not just like a nobody to them too. Like you're a physical person. Like these are real people, and your the needs are very real, and the money there is just it's all there. Like it's very clear. So if you go on a trip like this, it just makes it more obvious, and it really puts that perspective into place.
It puts it in 3D.
Yeah.
And for me, like I think of World Vision as such a giant organization, but the boots on the ground there were really impressive. Like the people that we met at the World Vision office that would come with us to locations, like the kids knew them, the teachers knew them. They're very ingrained in the community. So it's not just like, some overarching thing that doles out money to different programs. They are there, they are working, they know people. So, we were able to plug in a lot easier because they already have those relationships. So that was really, really nice to see.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'd say very similar. The fact that if anyone had ever had a concern or question where their World Vision dollars went to, or should they participate in sponsoring a child in the chosen program, to know that absolutely, as Adrienne said, the staff there were just so amazing. They knew the kids by name. The kids would see them coming and come running up to them, give them hugs. They are doing an amazing job down there, and our support can only enhance that.
Right.
And so if anyone has ever questioned, based on what we saw, the dollars that we give are making it to where they need to be, and the kids who are there, the families that are there, are benefiting so gratefully from every dollar that we give.
Yeah.
And it was really cool too with the sponsorship party as well, as being able to see a lot of the kids that Trinity has supported all in one spot again too. Like when I was filming that too, I was like, oh man, this is like a really special kind of thing. Everybody's right there.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Anything else you wanted to add, Petra?
I think that's it.
Okay. Just agree. Good. Well, thank you all so much. This has been a really fun conversation, a really great way to sort of get an insight into what God is doing around the world and how we get to partner with World Vision, but ultimately partner with God in doing God's work in the world. And so thank you for giving us an insight into that. And thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Trinity Talks. I hope that you've also found some encouragement and comfort and maybe even a little bit of challenge in these stories. And we'll see you again next week.